this off.
On Monday mornings, Mrs. Seneki would ask us, "Ma sitem besof hashavua?" What did you do on the weekend? Unfazed by grammatical rules like plural and singular, I'd answer, "Ani sichachti sheshbesh." I played backgammon. Va'achalti chamesh mishmesh, and ate 5 apricot. Betoch hamaktesh, inside the crater. Lehitlach lech, to get dirty. Yesh lanu kef, we have fun. And she'd shake her head from right to left, and I'd hang mine in shame. But this part of me didn't give an F. I was rhyming in Hebrew, and every Monday morning I had something new and exciting to share with the class about my weekend. Kiviti et haor, v'shavarti et kinor, v'savati chamo shahor. I switched off the light and smashed the violin and painted donkey black. Ve'az nitachti al halev shel kelev be'erev. I operated on the heart of dog in the evening. Kaniti dag echad bechag shel chalav. I bought 1 fish at the festival of milk. Lakachti chatul lashul vayalo amon shilshul. I took Cat to synagogue. He had a lot of diarrhea. So I had a lot of pets. That's when she dish out her threats. I'll have no choice but to fail you. If only she knew that I wasn't trying to make her play the shrew. I was just doing what I knew how to do. I was rhyming in Hebrew. "Describe your room," she said. "Don't take too long." So I wrote about my ballon al yad hachalon, balloon next to the window, that I wash with sabon, soap, obviously, and my melefefon, cucumber. Then I signed off, "Shalom." Yes, I was just peacefully rhyming in Hebrew, but still Mrs. Seneki would continue to growl, her hostility grew. "I'll have no choice but to fail you." Teenage tears would ensue. Until the fateful day I think I finally got through. It was a Thursday afternoon, and she handed back my homework with no red pen corrections. What I hoped was evidence of our first ever connection turned out to be yet another blunt rejection. Do you know why I cannot even mark this? In a state of disaffection and involuntary bodily convection, I looked at her lips all pursed and pouted, and I mustered up the courage, all the chutzpah, and I shouted, "Yes, I'm aware my prepositions are all over the place, but that shouldn't matter. We're just learning about the face. So what if I wrote Yesh lachem af b'mayim v'raglayim be'oznayim? We have nose in water and feet in ears. Ofanayim b'shinayim, bicycles in teeth. V'zayin ba'ayin, penis in eye. Instead of simply transcribing this week's milon, it's vocab. That's not the way that I learn. So what if I got all my pronouns wrong? In my secret world of rhymes, all this shit makes sense. There's no need for past or present tense because one day, Mrs. Seneki, I'm going to be a meshorer, poet, masculine. So I don't care if this stuff's incomprehensible to you. Besides, there's nothing you can possibly do or say to make me stop my rhyming. There's no point in even trying. Go on, scold and yell. Send me to the Menahel principle. There will be no suspension. There won't even be detention. No pretension of being the least bit disappointed. As pious as he may be, he was a humble English teacher before he got anointed. So I'm going to suggest you try to act just that little bit impressed, right? Bless your lucky stars, Baruch Hashem, you've been blessed with a potential literary ge'eonit. Genius. One day you can smile, look back and say, I remember, she used to sit in the second row center next to Gabby. And Women's Day will pay big bucks for your story. You'll get your picture in the Herald and your name in all its glory. People around Australia will read it in the morning paper with their coffee over brekkie. Headline, spoken word superstar Tammi Sussman says, it all started with Seneki. Thank you very much. Mrs. Seneki has become a bit of a cult figure now in the Sydney comedy scene. I performed that poem at my recent 3 shows at the Sydney Comedy Festival. Everyone all around Sydney wants to meet Mrs. Seneki. She knows about the poem. She does. She tutors my cousins who still attend Mariah College in Hebrew, and she knows about the poem. I do plan on sending her some free tickets to my next show. So this workshop is on spoken word. Spoken word. What? I made a PowerPoint presentation because I'm very professional. And obviously keep up with the latest technology. So spoken word, a form of performance art that is word-based. In entertainment, spoken word performances generally consist of storytelling or poetry. Spoken word poetry is often performed in a competitive setting, and these events are called poetry slams. Has anyone here heard of the poetry slam kind of thing? No? That's fine if you haven't, that's good. In the States, this kind of forum is huge. It's just starting to really get some attention in Australia. A man called Miles Merrill brought the Australian slamming to Australia, and he did that in the 90s, and it's only now getting enough funding that they held the Australian Poetry Slam at Sydney Theatre last year. So, my next question is what I'm about to show you spoken word? And with any luck, the technology will work, and I'll just be able to click on something and it'll play. Do I need to turn the light off?
One day I'm gonna beat it. Too busy obsessing over this hairline receding. And people like Jake's mom crying. They won't see their son this holiday season than any other. In fact, it's kinda sad and inevitable that one day I won't have a dad. Will I grow up with enough cash to have my own patch? Home to work, no need to brag when it's gone. Slow down, man, you're driving too fast on the song. It ain't on, yeah. Can you say pray or the yes? I'm inspired by friends just because they not sitting in the cell. My middle school crush getting married next week, and I'm bidding her farewell. Things are get to Israel. Open my heart's mouth. 36 flowers beside my yacht, just empty house. Like the out of the ordinary, no excuse to see. I miss you, I wish it was how it used to be.
Okay, you can leave the lights. Thank you. Someone's just become my lighting bitch. I appreciate that. So this is obviously hip hop. Oh, thank you. Then you're going to have to turn it off again in a few seconds. The poem that you heard me perform before is a spoken word poem. You could obviously get the sense that I work with rhythm as well, and many spoken word artists do, or have found an influence with hip hop because of their rhythm-based kind of word artistry. The next clip. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if I can actually do it from here. Is it an arrow down?
It's just the bottom.
Very good, very professional, thank you. This was all planned. Okay, so is the next clip spoken word?
My girlfriend is a Jewish woman, which is I did on purpose. That sounded creepy. I don't mean like, I got one. I mean like, I am not Jewish, but I've always really liked Jewish people. I just like them a lot. And I really like dating Jewish women. They're great. Because like I think a lot of problems that people have in relationships are with communication, because guys don't know what women are thinking. And with Jewish women, you do not have to guess what they are thinking. They will tell you. Yeah, this is gonna get playfully anti-Semitic, so just allow it to go there. I'll get in trouble, you won't. I really do mean this though. I really admire that Jewish people, in my own personal experience, are very like upfront with their feelings. You know, they're very vocal about their thoughts and feelings, and I think that's really admirable. You know, I'm Irish, and Irish people, they don't tell you a thing. Irish people keep it so bottled up. You know, like the plan with Irish people is like, I'll keep all my emotions right here, and then one day I'll die. Irish people don't want comfort. Look at a sweater made in Ireland. It's like a turtleneck made out of Brillo pads. I used to date Gentile women, and I dated this girl. She would just stare out the window all day long. And I'd be like, "What's wrong?" She'd be like, "You wouldn't even understand if I told you." What am I supposed to do with that? My Jewish girlfriend, I don't have to guess what's wrong. She comes in the room and she's like, "My stomach hurts." And then we can move on from there. That's what I mean. She's very focused. She's very in the moment, you know, and that's a good thing in a significant other. She's very present. Jews don't daydream because folks are after them, and they gotta stay sharp, you know what I mean? They haven't let their minds wander since Egypt. They just stay sharp. They go, "Who's that? Who are you? What's that? Put that down."
He's great, isn't he? John Mulaney. I can give you the names of these guys after. So obviously, my poetry, it does have influences from hip hop, but also stand-up comedy. I like to keep my poems, even the ones that do have a serious note to it, funny. I like to have at least one aspect of it that is funny, and those of you that will go, now that you know what spoken word is all about, you'll be going to those slams, you'll see that a lot of people do get up there and use it as an opportunity, can be a little bit self-indulgent to just express their, you know, really heartfelt, dark feelings about the world, and I think that speaks to people, but I personally feel that humour also speaks to people, I mean, in ways that just plain tragedy doesn't. So my next slide, which I don't think we need the lights off for yet, and you might just, is this the light? I can just...
Bottom one.
That one, it says program. That's lighting going on.
Yeah.
Oh look, that's a happy medium. What about that? Okay, so the beautiful, yes, sometimes annoying thing about art is it's very rarely black and white. So although we want to sit here and put things into boxes, that's hip-hop, that's stand-up comedy. Different art forms are always making love to each other, getting pregnant and giving birth to new gorgeous art form babies that grow up, get influenced by other art forms, and then the whole cycle starts again. I wrote that.
Sounds like
Pretty good? Yeah, so why? Why do people perform spoken word? Yeah, I got a bit technical here, like I got into the animations, things sliding onto the screen. Social commentary, to express personal thoughts, to entertain. And that's, you know, the other hand, some people are just out there just to entertain, and that's fine. But, you know, often the ones that work best are the ones that are entertaining, that also have a deeper truth to them, to educate, to inspire others into action. Yeah, so I kind of thought maybe people would want to get a little bit interactive, but I don't know, you don't have to. I could ask you why do you think that they write and perform, or I could just move on. Do you want me to just
Move on.
We'll just move on.
Who's Kosher Dill?
Okay, so Kosher Dills was the hip hop guy with the one. You'll have to listen to his words again because he does talk about going and like buying flowers for Saba and God it is real, and it kind of gets lost in there. But he does. He talks a lot about his Judaism. What is their intention? So as a Jewish writer and performer, I don't wake up some mornings and think, hey, I'm a Jew, I'm going to write something Jewy today. It just sort of happens. So sometimes I do get commissioned to write poems, and the case of the Mr. Sineki poem was when I was asked by a Jewish organisation to write a poem about my previous Jewish education, and that's, I suppose, that idea. I'd always wanted to write a bilingual poem, and that was the kind of idea that I went with, and that was lucky that I had a deadline to work to, and I just had to get something out by then. So that one just came. I know it sounds a bit lame, but sometimes artists talk about an idea for a painting or something, it just kind of happens. They don't ask for it to happen. But I suppose when I write and perform, hello.
Hello,
Hi. No, that's okay. That's awesome. I'm I mean, even when I was at drama school and I was performing things that didn't even have a Jewish theme and no one knew I was Jewish, someone came up to me after and said, "You're Jewish, aren't you?" And I said, "How do you know?" And they said, "You just remind me so much of Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld, just your mannerisms." So I suppose it's just in me and I can't escape it. That did annoy me a little bit, yeah, again, it's in me. So this was going to be a bit of a task, but we've just new people that have come in. My audience has expressed that they don't really want to do any tasks, and that's okay. I didn't know what kind of audience we'd get tonight. So, I mean, if we were into doing tasks, I would have got you all to think of a person, a family member, friend, teacher, neighbour who you believe to be a little bit crazy. So we come from Jewish families. We all have someone in our family who we think is a little bit crazy. Just one? Just one. If we were doing this task, I would have asked you to write down what it is about that person that makes you laugh or frustrates you. This workshop will probably go a lot quicker than expected now that we're not doing any of those writing tasks. Does anyone here want to share? No? Okay. Well, luckily...
Tammi, what are you going to do with it? If you had some material to work with.
Well, what I did this workshop with some Year 10 students at a Jewish day school. And that was, I was asked to give this workshop, and I said, look, I don't actually think I'm worthy of giving a workshop at Limmud. And they said, why don't you just do the thing you did with the Year 10 students? And I said, okay, great. So I gave them that task. They had pretty much the same response. But I told them that if they didn't want to do the workshop, that my car needed washing. I'm not kidding. And I said, you're more than welcome to just get some buckets together and you can wash my car instead. A few students came up to me and said, is that really an option? So what was the question? I'm what to do? So the Year 10 students wrote some of their own poems, and they left them on the floor, and I actually collected them when they left. And I read some of those poems out at my shows. I don't use names, but some of them are great. Usually like, that sus woman is so sus, this workshop sucks. That kind of thing. It's cute. Okay, so luckily I've got together some clips of other Jewish spoken word artists. So before we saw a hip hop artist, we want to put him in a box, just fitting the new youngins in. Then that was Kosher Dills. Anyone heard of Kosher Dills? Okay, sure. He's a hip-hop artist, American hip-hop artist. Then I showed a clip of John Mulaney, who's a stand-up comic, not Jewish, but does a really great routine about why he likes dating Jewish girls. And now I'm going to show you people who actually make a living out of being spoken word artists. So I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to work out the lights while we do that. Or my lighting bitch might help me. Thank you. I'll introduce myself too at the end. Stop calling me my lighting bitch. Okay, is there volume on this? No, fantastic. We'll try that again. In the meantime, just think about what you'd like to do for the task. Thinking of a family member. Well, that's great. Right a perspective of someone else. This was going to take up 6 minutes, is Sarah and Phil, okay? Okay, great. So you're going to have to look these people up when you get home. That's great. Is that what if there is? Can we get the light on again, please? Yes. I wrote it after I got done. Don't tell me that it's you. Tell me it's me. Say, hey Tam, I'm just not the biggest fan of your out there personality. While at first the whole quirky thing was an attractive novelty, it's worn off, unfortunately. And I think I prefer someone with a little less OCD. Or just be a complete pig and say you're crappy in bed and I hate your cooking and your ass is flabby and your nose is funny looking. No one's ever told me that before. I wish they would. Instead, they just say those 5 words that I deplore. There's nothing that I hate more than the INYM acronym. It's not you, it's me. I mean, really. Really? Don't tell me that it's you, tell me it's me. Just blame it on the night you met my eccentric family. Say your cousin's intense. Your dad's jokes were unfunny. The salmon was dry and the goulash was runny. Your uncle's a wanker. The schnitzel was chewy. Your mum pinched my bum. The whole thing was too Jewy. Yes, tell me that it's me. Tell me that my dress sense is try-hard and so is my rhyming poetry. Then say your self-deprecating humour isn't humorous at all. It only exposes your insecurities, your most repulsive flaw. Or alternatively, tell me that you do like me. You just don't like me enough to want to come home and spoon me when your day's been tough, the rough stubble on your chin tickling the back of my neck. But don't tell me that it's you. I know that's the politest thing to do and I appreciate your good intentions, but I'm giving you permission to break all conventions and tell me it's actually not you at all. You feel great. You're just fine. It's actually me who's wasting your time. Time that could be spent finding someone you like more. Because you're actually really ready for a girlfriend. Though you weren't before. Now you love commitment. You just don't want to commit to me. Go on, say it. Set me free from these obsessive thoughts of the reasons that could be why you're leaving. If it's got nothing to do with me. I'm being pushy, aren't I? Tell me that I'm pushy. Tell me that I'm weak. Tell me that you hate the way that I speak, especially during movies. Say it's your peanut allergy. It's your IBS. It's the way you bite your cuticles when you get stressed. Tell me I'm just so petty, just so banal. Say I'm leaving because you're always saying no to anal. You didn't hear that. Tell me you just don't see a future with you and me together. Not now, not tomorrow, not next year, not ever. Because you're actually really ready for a girlfriend. I know you weren't before, but now you're a grown man. You're on LinkedIn. So go and find that something more and say you're ready to commit. You just don't want to commit to me. Go on, say it. Set me free from these obsessive thoughts of the reasons that could be why you're leaving if it's got nothing to do with me. Is that a bit of Jewish things? Okay, you know what? If it's not working, I'll just improvise. So I did write on the, see I wrote this months ago, and then I should have looked at this, shouldn't I, before I actually gave this thing. Did people come here thinking that I'd give them some tools to get through to their partners as a male? Just write down what you want to say into a spoken word poem, a bit of rhythm, and you just say, this is what's up, you don't let me speak, but now it's Shabbos, it's the end of the week, and give me some time, let me say what I wanna. So you just serve me some chicken soup and here I'm gonna, just kind of, how was that? That was a spoken word poem. And keep an eye out for its Word Travels Australian. Right, he's going to come in and say, Is that going to work now?
Guys, don't worry.
Yeah, questions. That's good question time. That takes up time. Yeah. You're not reading a poem. You write it yourself. Number one. I should have said that.
Can you just say the question? I couldn't.
Okay. So this lady has said, spoken word poem, are you just reading a poem?
No, you're reading a poem that you wrote.
Yes, it must be your own original work. Because people say, because poetry, in its traditional form, usually consists of a rhyme structure, A, B, C, B, things, there's verses and everything. Spoken word is more freestyle, which is why I showed the rap poem, because it doesn't follow a traditional, conventional structure. You can break the rhyming structure every so often. It can kind of be a fusion of monologue. Poetry doesn't even have to rhyme at all. In fact, all of my poems do have an element of rhyme in them, but they don't have to. But it takes on a more, I suppose, suppose it's more of a way of storytelling rather than a conventional theatrical monologue. How can you call it poetry? Yeah, good question. I suppose because the best poems, the ones that do win the slams or that often do get through to people, there is an element of that rhyme structure in there. So it's a little bit more rhymish than just a monologue, and that's why you call it poetry. Some people don't call it spoken word poetry though, they just call it spoken word. It kind of depends on the competition you're entering. Some people refuse to enter competitions. They say that just defies the reason why poetry exists in the first place. There shouldn't be any competition about it. But for most poets who don't make any money, the chance of winning some prize money is that's pretty much why you do it. So you can get flown around the world and actually buy some dinner. Any other questions? Do I have a day job? Yeah, good question. No, it's good. I do other things to pay the rent. There's no sound.
Did you play the first one?
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, the
First
one
one
worked. Last two don't work.
Oh, so 14 didn't work.
No.
Which ones did work?
Slide. That one worked.
Yeah.
That's all right. Any other questions?
A couple of those slides.
What about my grandmother? Okay, so that article was in the Southern Courier because the Southern Courier wanted to know what kind of people inspire me.
Seems to be a problem with those two slides.
That's
have
fine.
those clips at the separate files?
No, I'll just answer questions
Well, you'll do that very well.
about Nana. No, that's great. A lot of my material that I write, I focus on, I make fun of my grandmothers. I can do some of that material if you'd like to know about my grandmother. Okay. So my one-woman show, which you guys will all come and see now that you've come to my very professional workshop where everything ran smoothly, is a 1 hour show. It's a fusion of spoken word poetry and stand-up comedy and personal monologue, and it basically follows the journey of being dumped to finding, being dumped numerous times to finding love. And so I actually got dumped in 2011 by a man, kind of in between. He wasn't Jewish, so when I went to visit Nana at the Montefiore home, she looked at me sympathetically as I walked towards her, and she says, "Mummy told me the news." Mazel tov, she says to me. She's all tact, and she says, "So have you found a new boyfriend yet?" And I say, "No, Nana, but I've been going on lots of dates." She says, "Jewish boys?" I say, "Yes, lots of Yiddish boys, Nana." She says, "Tell me something. When you go on a date, do you sleep with him?" So I know where this is going, right? I know what she wants to hear. So I'm like, fuck it, let's just fuck with her, the heartless crone. So I say, oh, sorry. So I say to her, "Yeah, I do. I do sleep with them." She says, "Oh gosh, so you are a sex maniac." I said, "Yeah, I am, just to play along. Does Mummy know?" And I said, "Yes, Mummy's paying for my therapy." "This is why you don't have a boyfriend." I'm like, "Yeah, because the Jewish boys hate having sex." So I give Nana a hard time. She's 93, she's Polish, but the one that's in the Southern Courier where I get misquoted as saying that I like to make fun of Jewish girls being erotic, which is actually meant to be neurotic. That's my Aussie grandmother. She's a little bit more open. I've written a poem. What time is it? Because it might be the last poem for tonight. Oh, has it only been half an hour? Oh, crap. Okay. It's just like a free concert then, isn't it? So, Betty after she fell in her swimming pool, fully clothed. Luckily, she can swim. Granny fell into the pool today. Shall I use this so I can overpower him? Granny fell into the pool today. She was wearing her cotton shift nightie, and to her dismay, my grandfather didn't fish her out. He never liked the daft pool anyway. She missed her doctor's appointment, her pharmacist's morning greeting, her midday soap and her Reese Gardens coffee club meeting. She forgot all about the Aldi specials. She couldn't do her daily shopping. Her whole day ended, time suspended when, like a jellyfish plopping into a pot of boiling blue water, Granny plunged into the unknown. Did it make her feel alive again? Did she tumble turn in fetal position and then get deja vu? Or did the Polaris Rapids wicked whip around her neck and force her through the shallow to the deep end and press her head against the bottom of the seabed? Perhaps she instinctively began the aquarobics routine she learnt the day before, or the day before that. She couldn't recall. Maybe she felt nothing at all, relaxed her muscles and let herself fall. Eager to get out of the icy pool and into a steaming pot of tea, she called out to her husband, prayed, "Please come and rescue me." But sometimes life can be cruel. Granny waded in her jellyfish film, wading and wading, waiting and waiting. Defeated, Granny stood on her front porch, her nightie turned to tissue, clinging to her figure like a deflated gum bubble. Then she prepared for trouble as she peeled back her extra layer of skin and peered through the screen door to the lounge room, wherein the old man sat on the couch, watching the golf on the telly. Well, in that moment, Granny came to a decision that no matter how long it took, it would be her personal mission to stand very still until he noticed her, frozen and naked, an ice-sculpted vision at the window. "For goodness sake, Betty," he howled, "come inside." If he had come outside, wrapped her in a towel for the first time in years and kissed her cheeks, would he have tasted the chlorine crystals or droplets of salty tears? She shrugs, bottling her fears. The jellyfish is buoyant in the bathtub, immersed in the warm, wet and frothy white foam. She isn't afraid of drowning. She's just afraid of being alone. It's a little bit sad, isn't it? And of course, Granny's heard that poem multiple times at my shows, and when I finish the poem, she turns around and she says, Am I loud? Am I overpowering this guy? Am I too loud? Am I too loud? Okay. So I'll finish that poem and she'll turn around and she'll go, "Just turn me off altogether," because that's a hint. And she says, "That poem's about me, you know." She's just so proud that she's made it into one of the shows. You want more about the Polish grandmother? Polish, okay. Well, I saw her today, actually. Oh, great. And where are you from? See, you know what? I talk about this as well quite often, that I'm actually really envious of my friends that have Hungarian grandparents, because and Russian, because the ones that have Russian grandparents, they get all the like cool bling jewellery after the grandparents pass away. The ones with Hungarian grandparents get really cool fur coats and everything, really great sense of style, and the ones with Polish grandparents get nothing. So I saw Nana today, actually. I went to see her at Monty, and she pointed to, she says, "Open the garage," which is her little minibar fridge. And I opened it up, and there's 4 packets of Monte Carlo Arnott's. And I go, "Nana, what's with the biscuits?" And she says, "They are the only thing keeping me alive." And I'm getting married next January. I was like, that's Not keeping you alive at all? No, I will not be alive in January. I said to him, if you are, just if you are, you know, as a celebration, can we dye your hair blue? Go there. So yeah, I do. Nana provides me with so much material. She really does. She's fantastic. She's very bitter, you know. Yes, yes. So of course, that's why.
She had the butcher shop.
That's her. Yes. No. Okay. Great. So I often run into people say Sussman. Butcher shop, Sussman's. First butcher shop, yeah, in Oxford Street. They're the ones that threw meat at each other. Yeah. Anyway, so you know, we are a product. Not in Hall Street, no. That was the competition. Okay, so look, because my PowerPoint isn't working, I might just freestyle all night. Here's some poems. Hey. Free, you thought you were just, you know, free poems. Okay, what about a limerick? Limerick, traditional poem. I wish I was home in my room with a jar of Nutella and a spoon. This workshop is lame, Tammi Sussman's to blame. I hope 8:30 comes very soon. That's a limerick. You know what? I think because I've been such a good sport tonight, I think we should all attempt to write a limerick. And you and I, and lighting my lighting bitch, we're going to write one together. Okay? 10 minutes. We'll just attempt to write a limerick. Follow the AABBA structure. You can work in pairs. Okay? It doesn't have to be the best thing you've ever written. This is when some people are going to leave. Okay? So we'll give it a go. I'm going to give you some paper because this is the beginning. Once you master the limerick, you can master spoken word. You're on your way. Write it, if men in the audience, write it about what you'd really love to say to your wife but she doesn't let you say because you can't get a word in. Or write it about a family member that can be, that can frustrate you or that makes you laugh. Okay, I'm going to hand out some paper and a pen. So obviously the first 2 lines have to rhyme with the last line and the 2 middle lines don't. Okay, great.